The views expressed in the following podcast have been tested for radioactivity, toxicity, and carcinogenic properties by various governmental organizations who promptly sealed the results for national security reasons. We really wish they had not shared the results with us. These opinions do not reflect the views of our employers, friends, spouses, or mutant clones. Your mileage may vary. Welcome to Two and Change. The people are real, the drinking is real, and the opinions, unfortunately, are also real. On today's show...
Josh, what are you doing?
I just gotta make a quick call.
Wait, we're recording, right?
You know, we have a no phone policy, man.
Hold on a sec. It's ringing.
Well, I guess we're gonna wait.
What are we talking about?
You said Doug Ford, right?
Hi, is this Doug Ford Snitch Line? Yeah, I'd like to report a podcast in progress.
Josh, what are you doing?
Well, they're saying things I don't agree with. One of them has a colander on his head.
Hey, that's religious headgear.
Is this a bit or something for the intro?
You know, I don't know what he's doing.
I don't know. One kind of looks like a bird and the others are kind of chunky. I'm guessing maybe a 5?
What?
Okay, wrap it up, Josh.
Okay, see you soon.
Josh, what was that?
Oh, nothing. Just testing Doug Ford's new Snitch Line. It's great for silencing dissidents.
That's awesome.
You know, we should spend the whole episode just prank calling them.
Oh god, that'd be epic. It's not going to come pounding down the door or something.
Welcome to Two and Change. I'm Josh, and I'm drinking... What the hell am I drinking, Tim?
Water.
No, this thing.
Oh, that is a Polliner Hefeweiss beer from Munich.
And that's why I had Tim say it. And it's going to be... let's see.
It's actually a little better than mediocre. You get tones, you get notes of, you know, a little bit of coriander, a little bit of citrus. But it's just beer. Think of all the flavors you're tasting.
That's a good beer.
But it's just, I know, right? It was a bitch to find.
Canada,
you're welcome.
Canada, you're slacking, man.
Thank you, Tim. I also am drinking the same thing, so...
And this is an audio format, so you should probably introduce yourself.
Oh, my name is Steve.
And of course, Steve's also drinking that. And Tim is also drinking this. Hi, I'm Tim. And hey, we've added another. Hi, Jordan.
Hi, guys.
What are you drinking there, Jordan?
I'm just having a long day at work, so I am drinking just Canada Dry ginger ale.
Hey, you know what? At least it's Canadian. For now. I don't know.
I think it's owned by Dr. Pepper's.
Oh, that's out of Plano, Texas?
Jeez.
The Texans own Canada Dry?
I think so.
How's that for
a little
fucked up?
fucky. Well, okay, so today's topic...
The Germans own Molson, so...
Well, wait. Molson Coors is owned by... I guess, yeah.
Aren't they owned by InBev?
Yeah,
No, Molson Coors is a different company than InBev.
Oh, okay.
InBev owns literally everything that's not Molson Coors.
Okay.
That whole I am Canadian line a few years back, it was
Does
a lie. It was a lie.
Anheuser-Busch own Labatt now?
Technically, they're all owned by InBev.
Okay.
So there's basically 2 beer companies and a lot of craft beer.
A major...
By the way, this is independent, what we're drinking.
A major shareholder of Anheuser-Busch is John McCain, the senator's wife.
Well, they're normally the right way to vote, the Republicans.
The Republicans are normally the right way to vote?
Okay.
Normally.
This episode, we're not talking about our Republican in the North, Doug Ford. There's so many wonderful things that Doug Ford is doing. We couldn't pick a particular one to talk about. Energy policy, sex ed, apparently the whole denying climate change is a hoax, but...
Unilaterally changing half of Toronto's council down to half of Toronto's council.
So guys, where do we start? What do we want to talk about first?
That's a month in. That's literally...
It's a month in. What the fuck?
He's going for a record for the first 100 days of how many fucked up things you can do as a premier.
My friends. He says, my friends. It's weird. You're not my friend. You've never been my friend. Folks, I can get, but Folken, or like, you know, like the German.
Like Volkswagen.
My Friends is a page out of Stephen Harper's book, for sure.
Yeah, but he doesn't, but Stephen Harper, he looked like greasy saying it. Like, but Stephen, Doug Ford, you watch him do it. It's like, it's like he's trying to like speak German, but doesn't know German, but learned it phonetically. So that's my friend's coming out of his mouth is like phonetic German coming out of his mouth. He doesn't know what he's actually saying, but
Well, we all know
Okay.
he's not very smooth, this guy.
no.
Obviously.
Well, maybe because of all the slime on his skin. But okay, so how about we talk about
Do you,
energy?
guys think,
Not
do you guys think
reptilian.
Rob
Horror
Ford
movies.
would have been a better mayor,
Yes.
better
Oh,
premier than Doug
God.
Ford?
No.
Yes.
Why would Doug?
And at least
why
it
would
been-
Rob Ford be better?
Because it'd be the
he would have
same-
been funnier.
No, and
he
that's the
would have been more amusing.
All the policies would be just as terrible, but at least we get to watch the cracked out episodes in Parliament. Because
How can you be that fat? Okay, well, he's not fat anymore. He's dead. But
how could you have been that fat and on crack?
it doesn't make
You know what?
sense.
Every
He,
crack.
he was a troubled man.
just
but
the
he
number of
was a good
calories
man.
you have to
He was a
take
good
into.
man.
Yeah, I think we've had this
Hey,
conversation.
You've seen
once, but
you've seen one crack addict. You've seen one crack addict.
that's very deep, Josh. Thank you.
It is. I'm trying to.
Amen.
Very deep thoughts. Okay, let's start talking about energy policy. So this has been getting a lot of attention. So he revoked the EV car credit, which I'm a recipient of. I did it before he got elected, so I'm good on me, I guess. Yep, ka-ching. Hey, I will admit it's pretty generous. $7,000 for a plug-in hybrid, $14,000 for an electric car. It's probably the most generous benefit, probably in the world. So probably could have been scaled back a bit, but he straight up canceled it. So that alone irritated a few people. Elon Musk is actually suing Ontario over this policy.
As he
but-
can under NAFTA, right?
Well, yeah. Well, the thing is that it's because the policy that Doug Ford put in place was canceling any cars that's been delivered after September 10th. But the problem is you can't deliver a Tesla to a dealership. That doesn't happen.
Honestly, though, I think this is. If I was to make my bets on who's going to win this, it's the guy who. I'm going to put. There's two people. There's the guy who put his car into space just because he fucking could, and the guy who announced his campaign in his mom's basement. So I'm just going to go ahead.
Did I tell you I saw Doug Ford when he was running for office? He was actually in our building where we work. Steve works in the same building as I do. I saw him there in a press conference. I saw a whole bunch of media cameras, and I walked right past him, and he was giving a speech. Man, it was so tempting to walk behind him and scream, "I'm a fat piece of shit, I'm Doug Ford" or something.
Creative, Tim.
I know, right? But I'm pretty sure my work badge would have been on, and I probably gotten an email from somebody, local London, Ontario man. Working in Florida man will run for his money.
you want to talk about the energy policy, but what he describes the energy policy of the Wynn administration was just transferring money from the middle class to the corporations that benefit from everything that is being sold in that industry. Is that an inaccurate description of what's going on?
Yeah, very much so. Yeah. So most of that money actually went to municipalities. So it actually didn't go. So it was a lot of fluff when the reality was completely different. So there's a lot of rhetoric going on. As much as I hated Kathleen Wynn, her environmental policies at the end of the day were actually making a lot of sense. So they had a lot of issues with Samsung and some of the windmill things, and some of that stuff was an issue. Legit issues, yeah. So there was some of that, but that was blown out of proportion because a large majority, 80-90% of it, was actually going to initiatives to help with
and also
mitigating climate change on infrastructure.
Okay, let's say climate change aside. This was basically pure economic stimulus because let's take the car thing aside, which went to all the big car manufacturers. And let's talk about the other program that got canceled. Because I have a friend of mine, for example, who signed up to get his windows in his house replaced. On the day he signed the contract is when they canceled the program. So we have a rebate of $150 per window you replace for energy efficiency purposes. It's good for the environment, but it was also economic stimulus for an industry, and especially areas outside of Toronto that have a bit of trouble. So, it actually injected a lot of money back into the economy. Now, you may not agree or disagree, whatever, with the method that's being done, but it was basically just economic stimulus at that point. People were buying cars, people were buying windows, people were buying, roofing materials. So, I don't know. It's going to be hard to replace that.
It's ironic that the Conservatives dropped this because it was an economic stimulus meant to boost business to a rise economy.
It was a tax break.
It was a legit tax break, and then they having an issue with it because their voter base has issues with climate change or something.
Have
You've been
you ever
going.
known conservatives to be logical?
I know. You know what? I've known a few.
I'm including Mike in that definition.
I've known a few.
Mike's a libertarian technically,
I think true conservatives are absolutely logical. They're nothing but logical.
but that's part of the problem.
There's no conservatives anymore. It doesn't seem like. To be honest.
No, like to run on a purely libertarian or conservative platform. I've said it a lot. That's not going to happen in 2018. Everybody wants to hear the same thing. Your taxes are going down. Your level of service is going up. Doesn't happen.
What's not cool about what Ford is doing right now is he's dismantling all this just to keep a campaign promise when, from what I understand, it's not in the best interest for our economy or our province. But whether it was a good idea in the first place, that's debatable. But what they're doing right now, dismantling all this initiatives, that's what's wrong, I think.
There is a theory going around that he's a bit like Trump. He didn't actually want to become premier. The theory, the theory.
I like this.
No, this is what they were talking about when he actually started to run, because he couldn't put up signs in Toronto to run for mayor of Toronto until a specific date, and if he ran for progressive conservative leader, he could put up signs, do ads, get his name out there, and that's the theory. Is that he ran for PC leader as a stepping stone to become mayor of Toronto, and just like Trump, he just accidentally.
But
bungled
he
his
was
way in.
never going to become mayor of Toronto. They don't like him.
They didn't like his brother, but he became mayor of Toronto.
The 905s do.
Well, the 905s, but now we're just got more subways to nowhere, I guess.
Okay,
But,
if you had an election where it was Doug Ford, big, strong,
but John Tory's been well liked.
John Tory's so milquetoast. He's
Yeah,
like he's the
he could
Canadian
become-
Mike
he could-
Pence.
Yeah. But here's the thing: don't underestimate Canadians' desire for inoffensive middle management types. That's generally speaking. You have your big inspirational leaders, but at the end of the day, the majority of our leadership has always been boring middle management.
What do you guys
types.
think of the fact that apparently platforms don't matter anymore?
They never mattered, really.
Well, in Donkey Kong, they do, because if you miss a platform, then you're not.
I always thought it was funny when he ran. He was like, "Oh, a platform." I even gave shit for having no platform, because you really should have some. But at the end of the day, people don't vote that way anymore. They vote pure on emotion and color.
I will.
It's like
I've said it
voting for a
before.
team.
I'll say it again. Doug Ford's election had nothing to do with Doug Ford's platform or Doug Ford. You could have put a broom with an upside down bucket for a head run against Kathleen Wynn. Put a PC label on it. Probably would have won.
Yeah, probably.
Probably. Because
I
here's the
agree.
thing. Yeah.
People,
People just did not like Kathleen Wynn.
for sure.
Like, look at that bitch eating crackers like she owns the place. God. What's wrong with her?
Well, she was spending recklessly. She was setting records as far as spending is concerned. You have to put a check on that. So the people were right in the sense that they needed some kind of a counterbalance. So you're probably right, Tim, that it was a protest vote. So yeah. Right place, right time for Doug Ford.
So I was a
Absolutely.
scrutineer during the election for one of the political parties, and I have never seen so many people decline their ballots.
Really?
So many people. They would walk in, like people out of work. Someone in scrubs from the hospital, somebody who was clearly a construction worker, just came in and said, "I don't want to vote. I don't like any of them." Handed
You
the
know what?
ballot back.
I love that, because I think, if it was up to me, we would do it like Australia, where voting is mandatory. You can spoil your ballot, but show up or pay a fine.
So this is not really this is tangential to this, but I was in Queensland during an election. In Australia, the candidates and their staff can stand outside the polling place,
Really?
and hand out literature and tell you
You're
should
kidding
vote.
me.
You should vote for Kathleen Wynn when you go in there. And people just standing in front of the polling place and just saying,
Well, I guess if
consider the Liberal candidate.
I guess if it's mandatory, I guess it's a little different story when it's mandatory voting versus voluntary being at the location, but
So Doug Ford, he didn't really have a platform. He just had a list of campaign promises. That just
and
it worked.
Yeah, but
Because there was
Yeah,
something.
but
there was
what-
something in there for everybody.
Honestly, I never thought he would.
Buck a beer,
I never
bitches.
I never thought he would reverse his long-standing prison policy of snitches get stitches. But apparently, that's the new policy for
other-
Ontario.
KFC gravy for everyone
The other neat thing
for $1.
he promised, because Kathleen Wynn made it.
My friends.
Kathleen Wynn prohibited protesting outside of abortion clinics, and one of the things that Doug Ford said
I'm okay with that.
One of the things Doug Ford said he would do is he would repeal that. And so after he got elected,
Dog whistle.
after he got elected, I messaged my friend in England. I said, my country's falling apart. And he said, well, join the club. What's going on? And I said, well, we had a socialist candidate who's going to make going to university free. And instead, they elected a guy who was going to make beer cheap and let you yell at abortion clinics.
Oh, and don't forget that. And take away sex education and make pot available at the local
So
store.
you're gonna make
what could
pot-
go wrong?
Cheap beer, cheap pot, and no sex ed.
So
we're
Doug,
gonna talk.
Doug
we're gonna
Ford
talk.
didn't make it legal.
Well, we're going to talk about that when we come back. We're going to take a quick break for some refills, and we'll be back to talk about sex ed. You're listening to Two and Change with Tim and...
Hold on. What made you in charge? Who gets to do
Why
the
are you
stuff?
the guy who always gets to start this piece off?
It's my house.
It's my house.
It's my house.
You know what? It's also Two and Change. You can visit our website at twoandchange.ca. You
Also
can
find
see,
us wherever our podcast.
You can see Mike there and Josh.
Yeah,
and
the other
that's-
two important people.
And there's somebody else. Make sure you go to twoandchange.ca and check us out.
I'm not doing this with you guys anymore. And welcome back to the show. So we have our refills. I think, Jordan, you're back with ginger ale still,
Yep.
so that's fine. And I think we switched to Hofbrau, another original Munich beer. So what do you guys think of the Hofbrau? What's the mediocre scale on this one?
I think it's fantastic. I'll be honest.
It's a good beer. It's a really... Well, those Germans seem to know what they're doing when it comes to beer. Surprise, surprise, right?
Can I tell my Hofbrauhaus story?
Sure,
Not a
please
big
do.
fan of this one.
Okay, so I was a student exchange to Germany at the end of high school. And we went to tour Bavaria. And so we all together, we were like 17, 18, going to the Hofbrauhaus, which is a big old beer house in Munich. We went in there, we sat down, and they wouldn't serve us because it's a tourist trap now. And even though the age for drinking in Germany is 16, they were following North American rules because they didn't want to offend the North American tourists, and they wouldn't serve you unless you were 19.
You know, that's a perfect segue to Buck a Beer.
Promised kept, promised delivered.
Promise retarded.
So for our listeners who are not sure what the hell, I mean, then again, if you're listening to the show and, you know, you're listening to Ontario politics at this point, you should know what Buck a Beer is, but I'll lay it down for you.
I know you have had some downloads from Luxembourg, right?
We've had downloads from a lot of places in the world, Luxembourg included,
Argentina.
Brazil.
Those are Mike's ancestors.
Lots of... His relatives he's not allowed to see because the Israelis keep protesting the travel visa.
Yeah. But they listen to our show. That's ratings.
Hey, there are good people on both sides. On both sides, all right? Oh, God. So, sorry.
Call them Republicans.
Buck a Beer. So, Doug Ford promised that he was going to lower the floor price of beer to $1. He did. The problem is, no one was selling beer at the previous floor price, which was $1.25. So only one company, two companies, one random craft brewery that I've never heard of. I've never had their beer.
They're
They
out
can
of
be good.
Ottawa.
They're out of 1,000. What's Thousand Lakes? That area?
Thousand Islands.
Thousand Islands. There we go.
Which is
really
Kingston.
just dressing at that point.
Pretty much.
See what I did there?
Yeah.
See what I did there?
It's
Thousand Islands. Okay.
it's
I'll see
French's.
myself out.
It's Big Mac sauce.
It's Big Mac sauce, yes. My sister used to work at Dairy Queen when she was a teenager. Apparently, flamethrower sauce is like ketchup and Tabasco sauce. So I was a little disappointed to learn that. But anyway,
Oh, spoiler alert.
I know, right? Hey, take that, Dairy Queen.
Surprise.
So it's that and Loblaw, who makes a beer, President's Choice beer, because President's Choice is like generic brand beer, or generic brand whatever, but they make President's, and honestly, it's not the shittiest beer you can buy, but it's up there. It's like, it'll get the job done, and it's somewhat inoffensive. That's all you can really say about PC.
Let's
Brandon.
point out what he's doing. He is subsidizing alcoholism.
He's not subsidizing alcoholism. What he's doing, though, is he's allowing premium retail space and premium advertising space within our government-controlled alcohol distribution system to people who comply. So really what you're doing is you are subsidizing. This works out to be a financial subsidy in kind, which means there is still a cost to it.
Basically, this is all to do about nothing.
It's a gimmick.
It's a gimmick.
It doesn't do anything or
gimmick.
something. The thing that I think is interesting though is the snitch line he's creating for teachers.
That's way to
pretty
change the
much-
subject away from what I want to talk about. Fine, like, we don't want to talk about it.
Absolutely. Well, because we've talked about the beer floor before. That's why.
Yeah, kinda, sorta, but fine. Yes, we'll talk about the snitch. So yeah, so if your teacher is talking about sex ed in a responsible manner, you can call the government snitch line and talk to Doug Ford's people, and yeah.
The worst part is if I went on the website just to see what it is, it's more open than that. It's not even sex ed. It's like any teacher problems. So if like
Any teacher problems?
pretty much, yeah.
Oh, fuck off!
So it's
you're
literally-
gonna get like one soccer mom a week complaining that little Justin didn't get his fucking A for his fucking shoe diagram that he like took a shit in a fucking box and. Maybe I'm saying a little more about my childhood than I thought.
Well, could you imagine the complaints that are going to come? The stupid complaints that are
You
going
get
to come.
stupid. Like, it's not if teachers don't have enough to deal with.
Are they ever going to be read? These complaints is what I wonder.
They're going to
Probably
be
not.
used as they're going to be used. They're going to be weaponized.
They're
for
going to
sure.
have me as a
There's
gimmick
going to
as
have to be an
well.
ombudsman. There is a crazy woman in London who complains to the CBC ombudsman constantly.
Is this the one that complained about the noise?
Yes.
Her. Fuck her. I don't like
I've
her.
complained to the ombudsman, so like it's not always.
No, but she complained to the ombudsman because
This is the noise lady, though. About
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No,
this lady.
the CBC described a wolf as a beast once, and she took offense to the fact they were describing a wolf as a beast.
My wolf's a beast. Am I right?
That's
Ask my wife.
But that's the kind of complaints we're gonna get. But you know what? They're gonna. This is ridiculous. This is yeah.
This is a
Oh, no,
waste.
okay.
This is a waste of money.
So-
We're at bare minimum. You're wasting money and making everyone's lives.
So I've already.
to make soccer moms feel better.
I've already swore through Tim's because it has you draw down the school board. You don't have to put and I'd put in a miscellaneous random made up teacher name, and I've actually already put in there Ford is a dickweed, and that's what I submitted as my complaint. So
all of our listeners, even if you don't live anywhere near Ontario, please, if this phone line becomes active,
it's online.
will.
It's a forum. You can just go online.
I thought there was
it's active.
an actual phone you had to call.
No, you can go
There's
online.
no phone line?
It's
'Cause
both.
there's a
it's
phone
text.
line.
It's both.
Because
Yeah.
if there's a phone line, I think we should call it a lot.
People used to do in the States. People used to do this with the FCC all the time.
Yeah.
People would the right wing crazies would spam the FCC with complaints about I saw a boob, and so left wing people used to complain.
Was it in the Mirror?
No, it was like LAPD Blue or something had a boob once, and
Oh wow.
yeah. Anyway, so people used to put spam shit through the FCC's database.
I'm saying this is what we should do. We should like spam the shit out of this line until they realize it's a waste of
So
money.
clarify which one line it is because right now one of the lines this is the interesting thing. They've linked one of the lines that they think they're going to get the calls on to the same line that reports government corruption.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Well, it's one and the
Give
same
it up
thing.
to the.
Well, who's
so you
gonna
know-
report
so you know-
government
If you got a
corruption,
rogue
first of all?
teacher teaching what they want, that's government corruption in a sense as well.
But they're
You should abide by the curriculum. I think that line is ridiculous, but at the same time, why
have a teacher? Why even have a teacher at that point? Why not just have Doug Ford with an instructional video on YouTube that everyone sort of tunes into at that point? Why have somebody who can interact with people, teach shit? Because here's the thing, it's not going to be like the rogue teacher's not teaching the curriculum. You might, for every one call you can get that, you can get 150 calls by
Honestly,
Sally's soccer mom
so here's
who's
the thing,
fucking
but
bored.
here's the- no,
Do none of us empathize with the parents that don't want their children to be
No.
learning this kind of thing?
I don't, because here's the
fuck
thing.
them.
Because at the end of the day, this is the state taking your children, teaching what the state wants them to learn, and not allowing you to parent on
Because
your
here's
own.
the thing.
Because a lot of parents don't want their children to be
So-
exposed to this kind of
Yeah, but here's-
information
here's-
at that age.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
here's-
but you know what?
And
For the
that's a
sake,
legitimate
but for the
objection.
but for the
Legitimate
sake
objection.
of all the other children that are in my life, like my nephew and all the other kids that I know, it's that I don't give a fuck what you teach your kid. But the problem is that I'm more worried about if your kid's not taught about responsible sexual behavior, how's that going to impact everybody else? It's like getting vaccinated.
It's like
dude.
being
I'm not
vaccinated.
saying don't learn about responsible sexual behavior. Obviously, consent needs to be taught. All the stuff that is normally taught anyways. But I'd rather have my
But what
child
is
learn
normally
math and
taught?
science in school than about all these other topics.
But the problem is parents do a shitty fucking job. Otherwise, we wouldn't have fucking schools.
Well, we have a free country, though, Tim. So people
No,
should
we
be able
don't.
to raise their children the way they want to. Not
No,
the
we
state.
don't have a
Why
free
does the
fucking
state
kids.
have so much power?
The state should have power when
That's
it comes to
bullshit.
the general welfare of the
No,
people.
because you want to know
It's a social
you wanna-
contract,
you
man.
wanna- you want to know what a state looks like that has absolutely no power over the moral decisions of their individual.
Go to Somalia.
Go to
No.
Somalia. No, seriously.
Are we talking?
go to
oh
Yemen.
God, are we talking? No,
But,
no,
like,
no.
that's-
This is intellectually
Hey,
dishonest,
hey.
Josh. I'm sorry. I've got to defend the libertarian on this one. That's like him saying go to Venezuela. It's not
Fair
an
enough.
honest argument.
Fair enough.
It's not an honest argument.
But no,
man.
the state definitely should have control over the curriculum. Now that being said, I do think it should be at arm's length. I actually think the curriculum should be decided by people who study curriculum on a daily basis. It shouldn't be made up by some dumbass in a politician's room. It should be made somebody who has a PhD in.
I mean, if
studying
we're gonna
pedagogy.
Point out he hasn't added a curriculum. He's reverted to a 20-year-old curriculum.
Yeah,
which is almost as
which is-
dangerous
which-
because the 20-year-old curriculum doesn't even it doesn't even acknowledge the fact that some people like boys, some people like girls, but that's okay. That curriculum doesn't even acknowledge that's a thing.
So if banks can self-regulate, why can't the teaching industry self-regulate? Right?
banks don't self-regulate, man.
Pretty much.
Regulators come in all the time.
And who regulates the bank?
Well, there's no. I don't know the name of the body. This isn't a gotcha.
And-
dude.
yeah, no,
there is
yeah.
a fucking body that does.
Yes,
it.
the body regulation though is made up of the banks itself, right? It's made up of experts.
There's
within the
that.
bank
No, but
industry.
there's that one. But there's also the federal government oversight that goes into it too.
Yeah, fair enough. But the point being is that I think curriculum decisions should actually be made from a teaching body. Not the politics should actually be out of it completely. I mean,
sure.
and that's probably not gonna lead to a lot of decisions for these social conservatives. They're not gonna like them. That's fine. But
Because
but it's
people
gonna
with
take out the politics
educations
out of it.
tend to have a more liberal bent about things.
Yeah, that's just true.
I'm not. That's not a slam on anyone. This is just statistically true.
It is true.
People, university educated people, tend to have more liberal views. So I mean, there's nothing you're going to do to get social conservatives happy about this.
And really, I come from a land of social conservatives, and quite honestly,
Well, I come from the land of the ice and snow, where the hot springs.
but I come from a land where social conservatism reigns, and you know what? Teen pregnancy rates are through the roof. And if you don't vaccinate your people against this, if you don't teach them what is right and what is wrong as a state, you're paying for it in the end. You're paying for it economically. You're paying for it socially. You're paying for it in all manner of ways. So really, education is important. We have to teach our kids more than math and science. We have to. Teach
I mean,
them
we
coding
teach.
and
I mean, we
everything else,
teach
right?
kid nutrition. We teach kids to brush your fucking teeth. How is sex any different?
Exactly, because parents, believe it or not, unfortunately, don't teach this stuff because maybe they weren't taught it, right? Like, how do you teach this stuff to general society if their parents don't do it?
So
How do you?
interesting. I trained as a librarian, and there's an interesting phenomenon in libraries nowadays that libraries are now holding sex ed classes for seniors.
Yeah, I've seen this.
As bizarre
Yeah,
as
it's usually in the
gross-
bathrooms. I've been to London Public Library in the afternoon. It's gross.
No, but it's a situation where seniors are losing a spouse, and they're young enough and agile
They're all
enough.
the STDs in the senior community
It's
is
going
out of
up.
control, man.
And so they're doing.
I say good for them.
They're doing sex ed classes for seniors to teach them how not to get gonorrhea.
because they never learned it. They never learned it in school, and that's the problem.
And they
you
should
get.
teach that. And they should
And
teach
Steve, so
safe
why-
sex. They should teach consent. They should teach everything that.
Well, Steve,
we were
have you
taught
read?
More.
Have you read the curriculum?
I have not read it myself. No, I
Well,
understand it's
and that's-
260 pages compared to 40 as well. So I don't know
'Cause-
where they find the time to teach that in the classroom, but that's a bit excessive. If you
but
ask
it's
me.
over how many years, over how many
No,
kids?
no,
I
that-
mean, there's a lot to cover, man. It's
I understand it, and I just
if math was 20 years ago, if math was 40
and I'm
years
by
versus-
no means a social conservative.
No, you're
by
not,
any
you're
means.
not.
But at the same time, I can also empathize with the people that don't want their children to be exposed with certain topics. And I'm not talking about the entire new curriculum. A lot of it's good. Maybe most of it should be kept. But at the same time, it is not the state's duty, in my eyes, to be teaching a lot of this information. It should be a parent's duty.
What if it was evolution then?
Well, evolution is something that needs to be taught to everybody all the time, always.
Well, what's the difference between evolution
You're
and
like,
sexism?
because it's based on,
I could
it's
see
based
Steve's
on
face. He's like,
scientific-
shit.
and so sexy time. I mean, really. I mean,
No, fair enough. You kind of checkmated me there, and I understand
boo.
the point you're
no,
making.
but no,
I understand the point you're making.
with respect to
sorry, I don't
your
know,
point,
sorry.
Steve, because I mean, you do bring a point that there's a lot of people who feel that sex is something that is, but then again, we still have sort of a sexual taboo in this country. We have a bit of a, not as strong as is in the US, but we still have it because we are within that sort of sphere of cultural influence. So, I mean, we do have a bit of a sexual taboo.
I was reading a little bit of the new curriculum. It's talking about not only transgender, but intergender and all these terms. And I'm just wondering, is this really something that a grade 4 needs to be focusing on? You think so?
Yes, absolutely. Because
it's a thing.
well,
I guess we'll agree to disagree.
Well,
I
yeah,
think that's something that doesn't necessarily need to be exposed to them at that
yes,
age.
it is because that's when
Okay,
they're
so
when
we're-
they're deciding these things about themselves.
Okay.
And the suicide rates where this isn't taught go through the roof. So we're literally saving lives for teaching this stuff.
So we're getting towards the end of the show. So, all right. So I'll pose a question to the group here. Doug Ford. So we'll leave the sex ed. I think we can probably do several podcasts on the sex ed thing, right? We might actually make that its own topic at some point. But let's talk
we
about
have to have
this for a
sound
sec.
effects though.
Let's go around the table just real fast. All right. Has Doug Ford's, objectively, Doug Ford's first 30 days, has it been a disaster? Has it been a good thing? Has it been neutral? I mean, it's too soon to see. So what do you think, Josh?
So my thoughts is everyone's like, well, let's not bring back up Harris. He's not Harris 2.0. He's Harris 2.0.
Okay.
And his first 30 days have shown that.
And I say, welcome back, Harris.
Welcome back.
It's as simple as that. You know what he did to the education system? He centralized it. He streamlined it.
he did
made
terrible
sure
things to the education system.
I'm
He
a
ruined
teacher,
it.
and I know all about what he did to the education system, and it was all good.
Yes,
There-
your report card's now a government form. I've seen those.
We have to have we have to have some kind of a streamlined education system. Otherwise, people are applying from different areas of the province, and they have different educational standards. That's wrong. We need centralization when it comes to education.
No, we need customization when it comes to education.
We need
Okay,
centralization to ensure that we are teaching the right things, not what that region wants to teach.
Okay, well, we can leave that aside for a moment. Jordan, what do you think of the...
I can't say I pay that much attention to provincial or local politics. I work in a federally regulated industry, so I can't say that I've noticed too much of a change since Doug Ford has come into office.
It's pandemonium, man.
That's an exaggeration.
Maybe anything goes.
At least there's no Russians involved. Come on.
At least that should be his re-election slogan. At least there's no Russians involved.
I was very much hoping that Andrew Horvath would get in, but
No, I'm hoping she doesn't. She needs to lose her job.
she should probably consider handing the baton off to somebody fresher.
I'm sorry if she loses to Doug Ford when the other person is
never gonna
Kathleen Wynn. She's never going to win. So I mean,
She was
why?
dealt a tough card, though.
No, she's not. Here's the thing. Okay, that aside, we are coming to the end of the show. I guess I should throw out my 2 cents. I mean, honestly, Doug Ford has pissed me off in a lot of regards. We'll weather through. We'll weather through. I mean, that's the way I look at it. I mean, it's like, it's not to the point where I don't think there's anything irreversible he's doing. Yeah, but it's only been a month. Give him time.
He's fat and unhealthy. He might not make it to the end of the
It seems
term.
government by troll.
Government by troll, yes. Well, whether or not you're a government by troll, we are running to the end of our episode, so I want to thank everyone for listening. I want to thank Jordan and Steve for coming out, so thank you guys so much for sitting in for Mike. Mike, if you're listening, we miss you. Please come back. I've been drinking my scotch with Mountain Dew because I don't know what to
Hanging out
do.
with your family members in Argentina and come back.
You're so selfish, Mike.
I know. You're a bad person and you should feel bad.
Secretly, he's learning the Venezuelan ways.
Oh, yes, that's what he's doing down there. He's in Venezuela.
He's secretly a socialist. We knew it.
Anyway, comrade, make sure you check out our episode at iTunes, Podbean, Spotify.
Play.
Make sure you go to 2andchange.ca and check out our blog. Anyway, for 2 and Change, I'm Tim.
I'm Josh.
I'm Steve.
I'm Jordan.
We'll see you next time. So leave your headphones on because we keep talking.
Okay.
We do a play out. This is like our thing.
Okay.
We do a play out.
We're supposed to baseball talk.
I never participated.
You never listened. You've been in enough of these shows. You've been in this is your 3rd one, right?
I never participated in the chatter.
Oh, He's just sitting there drinking the ginger ale. He's not actually doing anything.
Yes, indeed.
Shattered.
Yes. Oh, this